Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Monday, April 22nd, 2019. My name's Jeremy, and this right here is my first cup of coffee. I had a great weekend. I hope you had a great weekend. Oh, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, weekend recap. So, team training on Saturday. And we had all but two of the team members. One was away visiting family, and another was at a competition, at an AAU competition. But we had the rest of them, and man, this is a great group of people. I'm telling you, some of the stuff that they're doing is just blowing my mind. Their ability to progress and get better quickly. I want to give a shout out to Master Alexander, who coaches the team. And it was the two of us working with them on Saturday. I was working on forms. He was working on sparring with them. And I'll tell you, if they did half as well working on their sparring as they did on their forms, we got something good. We got some good stuff done. And then we all went out to eat and ate a bunch of pizza. And maybe pizza's not the best choice, but it's inexpensive, and there was a place right nearby, and we had a good time. Oh, and there's Justin in the chat. Justin says training was awesome. Training was awesome. And I think one of my favorite things about the team is that they're all good people. We get along. It's fun. You know, I see other teams and read and hear about other teams that it's not that way. I wouldn't want to do that. That's boring. It's going to be fun. So after that, that was in southern Vermont. And then just after that, I drove to Maine for a friend's birthday party Saturday night. And then, of course, it was back to Vermont for Easter dinner yesterday with the family. And had a great time. Had a great time. A lot of good food. A lot of wonderful company. Good conversation. It was a good weekend. Today, I'm out for some meetings. Ton of work on my plate. All my regular Monday things compressed into like 90 minutes. We'll see how I get that done. And then I'll hit the gym tonight. So, yeah. Now, I had a good question come in. Oh, before I forget, new episode of Martial Arts Radio out today from Sensei, even though he's not a big fan of that title, Casper Makink from the Netherlands. So our second Dutch guest on the show, the first being Xian Bas Rutten. Had a good time. Had a good time talking with him and start to understand a little bit more of Dutch martial arts culture, because even though we didn't talk about it in this way, you can see some similarities between his personality, his approach to martial arts, and some things, and Bas's. So you should check that out, of course, right here on YouTube or over at whistlekickmartialartsradio.com or in your podcast feed. But you probably know that. So there's a great question that came in over the weekend on a recent episode of First Cup asking about health. And the question was essentially, being healthy is an important part of martial arts, and where did I learn the things that I've learned? That's a long answer. So, hold on. So I was pretty lucky in who raised me. So my mother, even though she didn't have a lot of the information, still had the effort towards raising me healthy. She was making the best food choices for me she knew how, and that we could afford. All right. And there were a lot of other people around me doing the same thing. My martial arts instructors were doing more or less the same thing. There were a couple, we'll say, kind of grandmotherly type figures in my life that were doing the same thing. So I learned not so much the information, but the spirit, the importance of staying healthy from them. And as I've gotten older, I've continued to be around people and started to do a lot of research. I have some health stuff that runs in my family, specifically diabetes. And so I've learned a lot about that and how to keep that at bay. And then I think the biggest thing that changed for me was when I joined CrossFit almost 10 years ago and started being around a lot of people who really cared about health and really cared about what was going in their body and why. And I like to do research. I like to learn about things. So here I was surrounded by a bunch of people who were interested in what was happening with health and finally had the resources available to study it, to understand it. Now, let's be honest. It doesn't matter what you do. If you are healthy, you will do it better. Just flat out. I can't think of a single thing that gets better when you are unhealthy. Yeah, I'm not coming up with anything. So I don't think the importance of health really has to be expressed. When we talk about martial arts, when we talk about growing as a person, becoming the best person you can, some of that is about resisting crummy temptation from bad food and living well. It's not just what you do in training, 2, 4, 8 hours a week. It's what's going on the rest of your life. How are you eating? How are you treating your body? How are you treating your mind? All of these health aspects contribute towards you not just being more likely to not be sick or injured and staying in training, but they further your mental clarity. They further everything you're doing outside of your training. Because let's face it, most of us train somewhere between 2 and 4 hours a week. You spend a lot of time not training. So if we can make sure our non-training time supports our training time, we're going to get more out of our training. And it just, right? That makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. There are a lot of great resources out there for learning more about health. I like podcasts. There are a bunch of great podcasts out there. And over the years, I've found ones that I like, ones that I don't like. And that seems to be where a lot of the, let's say, cutting edge information is. Yeah, there's tons of writing out there. This stuff is not making it onto TV. It's not making it into textbooks. And remember that no one's ever going to care more about your health than you. If you barely care about your health, you're probably stuck. You're probably going to deal with some stuff. Because who's going to care more about that? People will treat you the way you tell them to treat you. And if you're telling them, I don't care about my health, they're not going to fight you on it. And then I guess the last reason why I'm passionate about health, I find it interesting. I find it interesting that here I am, nearly 40, and I'm in the best shape of my life, the best health of my life. How long can I keep that up? Because I've been able to say that for the last few years. Honestly, probably my entire life. I keep getting better, healthier, and I'm enjoying that challenge. I feel good. And I've known people who have been in their 50s and in their 60s who maybe they're not saying they're in their best health ever, but they still feel really good. I see them in training, whether it's martial arts or CrossFit or maybe they do triathlons. They do something that they're passionate about. And they talk about how their training and their food and everything just makes them feel. And they enjoy it, and that allows them to enjoy life. And what's better than that? I see a lot of people who don't enjoy life, who don't enjoy being in their physical body, who are younger than I am, but look like they're at least 10 years older. It's unfortunate. And I'm not going to live that way. not going to tell you you can't, but you shouldn't. What's the point? I've done a few episodes of martial arts radio that have either spoken to or kind of mildly addressed the subject that, health, what we eat, how we treat our bodies, is relevant to us not just as martial arts practitioners and students, but as instructors and school owners. Because if you're 400 pounds and you're telling people that they should come to you to learn to be healthier and lose weight, they're probably not going to believe you, even if you know how. People don't tend to believe that people have the skill or understanding for things that they don't implement in their own lives. And to a certain degree, I can understand that, because what better way to reinforce and understand knowledge than to practice it, to fully explore and understand it? I'm not saying that every martial arts instructor should be shredded and able to lift 500 pounds overhead, but I think you know where I'm going. It's a struggle. It's tough. Cheap, high-calorie food is readily available. But so is not training. So are unhealthy thoughts, unhealthy people. Those are really easy to find and bring into your life. But that doesn't mean you should. Now, if you want to learn more about how you might consider eating, I'm not going to tell you how you should, how you might consider eating and other health-related things, there are a bunch of places that you can go. Now, first, we've done a lot of podcasts on martial arts radio that address health and nutrition and things like that. You should check out those episodes. If you're watching this show, you probably like the way I present information. Martial arts radio is a good place to start. If you're looking for one kind of all-encompassing show that is both entertaining and educational, the one that I would suggest to most people is called The Model Health Show, hosted by a gentleman named Sean Stevenson. To my knowledge, he has no martial arts background, so I can't endorse him in that way. But I've taken a lot of information from him. He has a great attitude, and he tends to be on the cutting edge with health-related things. I learned a lot about sleep from him. He wrote a New York Times bestseller on sleep called Sleep Smarter. So check him out, Model Health Show. And, if you don't like the style of his show or you're looking for more, just start poking around. There's so much out there. And the other shows that I listen to, honestly, some of them you would love, some of them you would hate, and I'd rather you do your own exploration. Because you've got to be able to take control and start learning how to do that research. It's not easy, but there's a skill to it like anything else. So when I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do I do about this? What do I do about, I don't know, what's the last thing I did research on? When I want to do research on, does CBD in fact have an impact on the body's absorption of caffeine? I've got to understand how does CBD work in the body. I've got to be able to find some quick resources to understand that, to give it context. I've got to do a little bit of research on caffeine, and then I've got to start doing some research on articles that talk about both, because anyone can publish anything on the internet, like this show. It doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about. Justin wrote in a suggestion about Julie Foucher's Pursuing Health. I like Julie's show. Actually, I really like Julie. Believe it or not, Justin, she's my favorite CrossFit athlete, or at least was for the year she was competing. I do not like her as an interviewer. the people she brings on and the information is wonderful, but there are other people that I find interview better, and I couldn't deal with it. So that's that. Now remember, you can catch this show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. And if you haven't, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, so you get that little ding on your phone that says, hey, Jeremy's about to drink a cup of coffee. You should watch him. If you want to catch it later, of course, you can do that here at firstcupwithjeremy.com or in your podcast feed. So hopefully you've subscribed to both First Cup and Martial Arts Radio, because that helps the numbers. And if you haven't, left a review for either of these shows on iTunes or somewhere else, go ahead and do that. Check out today's episode with Sensei Casper Muckink. Again, here or in your podcast feed. Now, I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully a little healthier. I hope you have a great Monday. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Oh, if you have questions or comments you want me to answer, leave those below.